Today we're going to make a chocolate cake, and because I'm not really a cook and because I'm a bit lazy, it's going to be a very simple chocolate cake, the kind of thing that you can knock up with some basic ingredients in 5 minutes, let's say, plus cooking time, 30 minutes cooking time. What do we need for our chocolate cake? We need some flour. No, if you're making your own cake, no point skimping on ingredients. Get the best flour. This is some bio flour. It's non-self-raising flour, so I'm also going to need some baking powder. Because it's a chocolate cake, I'm going to need chocolate powder. And again, no skimping, fair trade chocolate powder. A couple of eggs, so it's going to be easy. Some butter. How much butter? 100 grams of butter I'm going to use. It's the recipe is very simple. It's basically, if we're using ounces, it's 4 ounces of everything, apart from sugar, which I'm going to reduce the quantity a little bit. It's a tip somebody gave me. He said put a bit more chocolate in, reduce the sugar, makes it less fattening, less sugary. I'm going to need a little bit of milk, a little bit of salt, and that's it. So let's get on and start mixing up our ingredients. And because I don't even have a weighing scale, I'm going to use this little thing here, which is a mixing jug. It actually gives me how many grams by volume each thing is. So let's start off with the flour, and we want 100 grams, which is about 4 ounces of flour. And you see that for everything the volumes are different. For flour it's a little bit more volume because it's less dense than, say, sugar. So you see, this is how it works. We've got 100 grams, pour that into there. So that's our starting point. And we want, now the recipe calls for 100 grams of sugar. That's slightly less in volume because sugar is denser. And I'm using caster sugar. So these are quite large grains. But I'm not going to put the required 100. So I want a health cake. As I said, the one thing that you appreciate when you do some cooking is just how much sugar and fat goes into stuff, and that's with home recipes. You can be sure that with anything that's manufactured, there's a lot more. So, about 75 grams of sugar. So that's reasonably nicely roughly mixed in. We'll put in our 2 eggs now. We need the whole mixture to hold together, so we crack the eggs in. Oh, I love cracking eggs. And we'll mix that in. It'll begin to make a bit of a paste. Cocoa powder. They say 1 teaspoon, things like that, but basically you want quite a bit or it will taste a bit insipid, especially as we've put less sugar in. So I put in a couple of tablespoons of cocoa powder. You see, I'm being fairly inexact with measurements. And we want a little bit of milk. Butter. That's a 250 gram bar of butter. So 250 grams, we need 100 grams of butter. So 100 grams is going to be, there's a bit been taken out of there already. So if we take about half of what's left, and that should be the right amount of butter. Now you want to keep the milk handy because we'll need to add milk as we go along a little bit. What else did I say? Some baking powder. This is a, I don't know how much, that's 11 grams, maybe about half of that or the mixture won't rise. Now I'm sure people are going to be amazed to see this all work. Should take the butter out of the fridge a little bit in advance, otherwise it'll be too solid. You see we're already getting a bit of a mixture, and this is a heartbeat. If you've got I've actually got an electric mixer which I could mix this in, but I'll have to get it out and I'd have to clean it, and that's a bit of a faff. So as we go along, is there anything I'd missed off my list there? Add a little bit more. Oh yeah, I said a bit of salt, didn't I? It tastes better with a bit of salt, not too much. But you know, sugar and spice and all that, if you can count salt as a spice. I've been mixing for about 2 or 3 minutes now. I have to get a bit of air into the mixture to make it light. But you know, another couple of minutes and that'll be good. Once we're happy with that, square baking dish. We don't want, actually I've had a lot of success with these cakes not sticking, but you want to put in, it's an non-stick dish but it's a fairly old one. So I would again use the butter and give a nice little grease, especially in the corners, just so the mixture doesn't stick while it's cooking. Make the cake much easier to get out. So now, take the cake dish and pour the mixture in, and it will settle out a little bit. You'll see that the mix is about 2 to 3 centimeters deep in this bowl, and it will rise up to about double that. Keen to get all of the mixture I can out. And as you see, the bowl's almost clean now. Now if I'd done this in my mixer, I would then have to spend about 10 minutes cleaning the mixer. And here's what passes for a cooker. This little Panasonic here. You see, put the mixture in. It's a turntable oven, and on the controls I'm going to not do any preheating. I'm going to put the fan oven on for 30 minutes. That's it. It should heat up fairly quickly, and we'll have a look in 30 minutes, see how it is. It's just finished, so in the end I left it for about 32 minutes, and let's have a look to check it's, well, it looks good actually, how it's risen up there. Stick a knife into the middle of the cake to check whether it's cooked or not. Nice and clean. And what's our little cake look like? Be careful, it's hot. Let's see if I can look at that. So that just needs leaving to cool down and separate it from around the baking tin, so it'll be dead easy to get out. Look at that. Excellent. Okay, well, fortunately I'll have to sample a little bit of this before everyone else eats it, but I'll leave that to cool down now.